More on conniving Calvin Korff and his being publicly exposed as a liar. 8 to 10 minutes. I now have more on this apology Calvin Korff had to issue to radio host Art Bell after Calvin was caught lying. The story is that Calvin was on a flying saucer radio show and made a statement of fact that radio host Art Bell had threatened to pull his program from 3 radio affiliates because Calvin Korff was to appear on a radio program to discredit someone Art Bell knew. Calvin Korff said on this other radio program that he had spoken directly to managers at these radio stations who, according to Calvin, told Calvin Art Bell had indeed called and threatened to pull his show if Calvin was to appear on any of their radio programming. Of course, this all turned out to be Calvin Korff lying and slandering radio host Art Bell. I was sent the audio of Calvin Korff when he was on Art Bell's radio show to publicly apologize for lying and slandering Art Bell. This never happened and Calvin admits to lying and slandering. This is what was said. Art Bell, for those you not familiar with what is to follow, you may check my website and you will find audio files of the words said by Mr. Kal Korff on the Sightings program, a syndicted radio program that can be here. I pretty well covered it last night, and as you know I was very, very angry. I believe we have with us tonight Mr. Kal Korff. Kal, are you there? Calvin was scheduled to apologize the night before but did not answer his phone when Art Bell called. Art Bell was rather upset about this and likely felt Calvin was playing games with him. Conniving Calvin, yes, sir. Art Bell, okay, Kal, I was really angry at you last night and my anger has somewhat abated at this moment. But, I believe you've got something you want to say. Conniving Calvin, yes, everything I said about Mr. Art Bell was completely untrue and false. I retract everything entirely and further apologize to not only Mr. Bell, but to the CBC radio network and the affiliates mentioned, KFY in Phoenix, Como, and KVI in Seattle. Art Bell, so, your words about me and what I allegedly said were totally false. Conniving Calvin, yes, there's no evidence at all of, none of it held up and, you deserve an apology Mr. Bell. Art Bell, alright, thank you, I want to say something to you and it is the following, words, Mr. Korff, really do have consequences in ufology, something we're both interested in. We've got room for all sorts of people, believers, skeptics, even debunkers like yourself. However, if the goal of our debate is the truth, then the reckless disregard for it harms all of us. So please, I would only ask this, the next time you decide to debate with statements of something you call facts, make damn sure that you know them to be facts and not slanderous lies. This method generally, effectively prevents embarrassing actions of the sort you just had to make. Calvin Korff. After being publicly humiliated, Calvin put these apologies up on the internet. Calvin of course tries to slither out of bulletin blaming sources and going so far as to imply that someone might be impersonating this Art Bell fellow. But it is clear that Calvin stated he talked directly to managers of these radio stations. So how does self-righteous Calvin expose himself to the public as a conniving slanderer? I thought about giving kudos to Calvin for apologizing but realize he only did it to avoid being sued in court. You would think Calvin would have learned from this painful public lesson and the humiliation he must have endured at having to kneel and beg for mercy before the host of a flying saucer radio show. Welcome to Kal Korff's website. Thank you for browsing my new website. The official launch date will be by the end of this month, August, 1997. In the meantime, there is something very important I must post here for the public record for all to see. My formal apology to Mr. Art Bell. August 6, 1997. Dear Mr. Art Bell, I offer to you, my personal and sincere apology to you regarding statements I made that you had threatened 3 radio stations and to pull their affiliations if they put me on their programs. There was no malicious intent on my part to either libel or slander you, Mr. Bell. The truth is, Mr. Bell, I believe you when you say you did not do this, and in the interest of getting to the truth I am making a point, as I mentioned to you, of getting all of the documentation to you that proves this was an innocent mistake. I know, Mr. Bell, that you are respected in your radio broadcast profession. I also respect you as well, and know, based on having listened to you and thoroughly enjoyed your audiobook The Art of Talk, that you have worked very hard to achieve the phenomenal success that you presently enjoy. I have also heard similar testimonies about you from your professional peers, on whose other radio programs I have appeared over the past years. I would like to re-emphasize to you, your listeners, and the general public, that there was no malicious intent on my part to either malign, libel, or slander you. I simply reported information I had been told from various sources which proved to be incorrect upon close, careful investigation. As I have also previously communicated to both your attorney and yourself in our joint phone conversation, my allegations made towards you, which were in error, were the result of a hodgepodge of confusion, innocent confusion, on the part of my sources. To put it simply, my sources, which have proved totally reliable in the past and on all occasions, accidentally confused, in part, the actions of Jim Dilettoso with you, Mr. Bell. As the enclosed documentation clearly proves, it was Jim Dilettoso who sent a legal notice through his attorney implying legal action, if a certain radio station permitted me, Kal Korff, to come on their shows to talk about my research. I enclose for your perusal not only a copy of Mr. Dilettoso's letter to one of these stations written by his attorney, as well as the station's reply to Mr. Dilettoso. I sincerely regret any problems this may have caused you, Mr. Bell, and as the last of the documentation continues to come into my office, I will forward all copies of it to you so that you may be assured that this unfortunate mistake was indeed a series of accidental ones, and was and is not deliberately malicious. I have posted as of several days ago, a public apology on the radio show Sightings, and will make every effort to make sure that this public apology receive as wide a distribution as possible, including the posting of it on my own personal website starting tomorrow for the period of one full calendar year. This apology will be posted on www.cockkerff.com, early tomorrow morning, which is my own personal website. Sincerely and respectfully yours, Kal Korff, investigative journalist, author, and researcher. Sightings is hosted by Mr. Jeff Rentz. Below is a word-for-word copy of my formal apology to Mr. Art Bell, which was posted on the Sightings website as of August 4, 1997. Kal Korff, Monday, August 4, 1997 at 4:56 PDT. Dear Mr. Art Bell, I offer my sincere apologies to you regarding statements I made that you had threatened some radio stations and pull their affiliations if they put me on their program. There was no malicious intent on my part to either libel or slander you. At present I believe you when you say you did not do this, and in the interest of getting to the truth I will make it a point, as I mentioned to you, of getting all of the documentation to you so you can investigate this. I know you are respected in your radio broadcast profession. You may want to consider the possibility that someone might be out there impersonating you. Looking forward to providing you with the documentation you have asked for and justifiably deserve. Sincerely, Kal Korff.